So that is the scale of the justice we need to get from the court, isn't it? And the judges, what type of the, I'm just on the theory. I argued Maruram's case in Constitutional Bench in 1980. I did my law in 1975. In 5 years young stage, I went to Supreme Court and argued that Maruram's case. That is a famous case. Wherein, 5 judge bench, it was, CRPC was amended in 1973. On the amendment of the CRPC, there would be a minimum 14 years of the punishment. So punishment shall be minimum for 14 years. That was in murder cases in Maruram's case. So I argued on that behalf. So no, it should be 1 year should be given to those persons who reform themselves. And because there are 3 theories of the punishment. One is deterrent, reformative, deterrent, and retributive. So reformative theory is that if somebody wants to reform himself, then he will be given an opportunity, because the jails are not the factories for turning criminals into the goods. So therefore a reformative chance must be given to those who want to reform themselves. So I argued that those who have completed 13 years in the jail and had a good conduct in the jail throughout, they should be released 1 year before. Then there was one Justice Fazal Ali, Murtaza Fazal Ali. So he, he was just nodding his goggle like this and said, no, nothing in this. I was quite young, I thought this is a good point I have raised, and judges thrown it out. So I burst out of the anger within my heart. I could not say more correctly, more forcefully before court, because there was fear of punishment. But even then, because I was a young background from UP, practiced for 5 years in district court, where we used to the judges also sometimes. So that was my practice also, along with those lawyers. So I said, I put my hand like this on this. You would say, गुस्से से मुझे नहीं मालूम था सुप्रीम कोर्ट में कैसे बहस करते हैं, 5 साल की वकालत में कैसे पहुंच गया वजह करते हैं. So I said, no, you are wrong. When I said to 5 judges bench, you are wrong, like this, and he said like this, then he said, I was surprised how this young lawyer behaves. And Justice Chandrachud told me, I am telling the experience which comes in a lawyer life, that Mr. Counsel, young counsel, you don't know how to behave in the court. I said only one thing, that you are wrong and you are bound by the rule of justice. And I बोला you are bound by the rule of justice. बात सच्ची थी. सत्यम ब्रूयात, प्रियम ब्रूयात, न ब्रूयात सत्यम अप्रियम. सत्य बोलो, प्रिय बोलो, अप्रिय सत्य मत बोलो. वो मैंने अप्रिय सत्य में बोल दिया. वो कहना लगे भाई, are you feeling sorry for that what you said? But I meekly repeated. I said nothing, but I repeated very humbly. Then all right, court martial gave us CRPC. He has to face the contempt of court. CRPC निकाल ली, contempt की proceeding ले लो, चुनने लगे, देखने लगे वो. Then PM Kadati Justice he told, consulted with his friend. He simply said that you are bound by the rule of justice and you are prosecuting for contempt. I am not bound. Then they are very hesitant. Then I felt very happy. So Bhagavati told me that Mr. Counsel, what you wanted to say, tell very frankly. I am with you, tell very frankly. Mirror, I simply wanted to say nothing. I am repeating what our Rishis and Munis have said about the judges. They have laid down some principles for the judges. But I am sorry, in this Kaliyug, I am facing that contempt today because the judges don't follow that principle which has been laid down for them. Then I took a round way, and Sanskrit helped me in that time. Then he said, what is that Rishis and Munis? The Rishis and Munis laid down about the conduct of the judges, how a judge should conduct while sitting. While sitting as a judge, how a judge should conduct, it is on that I am quoting. Then they took down their pen and they started quoting it. Nandan tu neet nipana yadavastu Lakshmi samastu gachatu arithishtam adde maramastu yuvantareva nyayat pat prachalanti padam adhira. Nandan tu neeti nipana. Neeti mein jo nipun hai, jurists, lawmakers, policy decisions. They can criticize us, we are not worried. The judges say, Nandan tu neeti nipana. If they appreciate us, we are not happy. हमारी स्तुति करें हम खुश नहीं होंगे, हमारी निंदा करें हम नाराज नहीं होंगे. ये जजों का कंडक्ट है. लक्ष्मी समावस्तु विच्युति अस्तित्व. लक्ष्मी हमारे पास आ जाए हम प्रभावित नहीं होंगे, चली जाए हम दुखी नहीं होंगे. अद्येव मरण वस्तु युवान करेगा. हम आज ही क्यों ना मर जाए, अगर कोई हमें धमकी दे, तुम हमारे हाथ में जजमेंट नहीं करो, तुम गोली मारो. तो हम उससे डरेंगे that in theory of punishment there are the two sources of the natural justice. There is a principle of natural justice. So how this natural justice has two wings? There are the two sources. One source is the Greek principle. That is the Nemo Joda Koja Shua. Nemo Nemo Joda Juda Causa Causa Sua Sua. That is the jurisprudence. And what is the meaning of it? No one can be a judge in his own case. Second comes the audio partum. As he has rightly murmured, audio partum. Nobody can be prosecuted without being heard. One has to be heard, and only then some punishment or some whatever is needed, but he has to be heard, right of the So he pleaded for forgiveness. And he says that, O man, forgive thy mortal foe. O man, forgive thy mortal foe, nor strike for blow. For all the souls that doth earth on live are to be forgiven and must forgive. So he was on the theory of punishment as developed. Then later on, that if we come to section 53 of the IPC, now I am coming directly to the subject. In Indian Penal Code, there is section 53 of the IPC, which classifies rather 5 clauses. Firstly, there is a death for punishment. Secondly comes the imprisonment for life. Now thirdly was the transportation of life that has been deleted by Act 17, isn't it? Now comes the forfeiture of property and fine. So these are certain, theory kinds of punishments. Then I have challenged one part of the punishment in Supreme Court that is reported in 1995 3 SEC page 248. आपके पास प्रोफेशनल की किताब होगी, उसमें दिया हुआ है, 53 में दिया हुआ है, क्लियर एक्ट में ही है, 1995 3 SEC page 248. What is that? It was in my name. I have filed and I have conducted more than hundreds of OTILs in my own name at my own cost, and there will be judgment in several cases, and even Guinness of the World Record keeps my reference. And then I was nominated for the Nobel Prize in 2003 for Centuries Foundation. So I am coming on that directly, that 53. How? There is a law in 1834, Punjab Jail Manual, Rule 873. You can note down Rule 873 of the Punjab Jail Manual. Rule 873 of the Punjab Jail Manual, which says that the body shall remain suspended for half an hour till the return of the warrant. So even if a man dies in 1 minute or 2 minutes, even then body has to remain suspended for half an hour. So my point of argument was that if a man is well built, heavy like me, or more heavy than me, then if he is hanged, then the tripod of life is broken because of the weight of the body, and the life is extended. If a thin man is there, it would take more time, 30 minutes, sometimes 15 minutes, sometimes. So this modula, when the modula is broken, it takes time according to weight of the body. Normally what happens when he is, जब उसको लटकाया जाता है, शायद आपको अंग्रेजी में कष्ट तो नहीं हो रहा सुनने में, तो कहीं ऐसा है तो मैं आपको हिंदी में बताऊँ. अच्छा, then man is suspended through rope, Manila rope. Manila rope से जब उसको suspend किया जाता है, there is a fall of 30 feet. Then that man falls, then this tripod of life, modula is broken. But normal practice is this, that the hangman goes into the ditch and then he suspends the legs of that person so that life can easily extend. This is happening in our country. We call it our welfare state, but it's not actually. So then I argued this case also once in Supreme Court. I told there are 3: state, welfare state, or plural state. What would you call welfare state? If this is being done in our country. So then, I argued, the basic point was that since the punishment is for the life, theory of punishment is for the living being, not for the dead one. When the life is extinct, then the corpse remains. There is no punishment for the corpse in IPC or any criminal law. Because the life is extinct, then I argued that state should throw vengeance and vendetta from the mind. It is a welfare state. It is not a cruel state. Even when a man is dead and you are keeping it hanging for half an hour. And that is why exactly I put this to the Chief Justice of England, who came in Supreme Court. Chief Justice of England, he told in a different tone. He was because they have adopted now Supreme Court. It was not already, the system of Supreme Court as in our country, they have adopted the same. So they say, he said, any question from any Indian advocate, that was challenging to me, because I have already done this theory. Then I used to, judges of the Supreme Court know me, then I stood and I told, I am only raising one question, as you have called any question from an Indian advocate. I am an Indian advocate and raising one question. And I give you 6 months time, please. Note it in your diary. 6 months time I give you. You can't reply here right now, I am sure. But send it after 6 months from your country, consulting those people. And he was very much estimated, and he became like this. The answer what you wanted to say? I wanted to say, yourself, your country, America, England, you claim to be first leaders of the world in human rights, welfare state. So many conventions you have done now. You are the preachers and teachers of the world, and ethics and law and everything. But you maintain double standard. You ruled 77 countries around the world, wherein India was we were also slaves at that time. You made laws for Indians and slave countries for keeping the body hanging by rope like an animal. But in your country, it was never descended by rope. You had what you had? You had shooting. In 86 countries around the world, there is a shooting. And in 77 countries, there is a hanging. Hanging, 86 countries shooting, 7 countries beheading, 7 countries stoning, 1 country electrocution, and 1 country gas chamber. That is the mode of punishment all over the world. So, I say that why didn't you keep this? If you had an equal value for human rights or for human beings, then you should have in your own country this law also. But you preferred it for the slave countries, wherein we were one of them. I am asking this question from you today from the dais, that what was your justification and your nation's justification in keeping this double standard for human beings? Are you human being or we were not human being at that time? He said, oh, no, sorry, I can't reply at this stage now. What you have told, I have to go back, I have to ask for my consent. I have already told you, you can't reply. But you provoked me saying that any question from any Indian advocate, India still lives. India is a pleader, is a leader, is a beacon, is a paver of the path for the entire world in wisdom and integrity. Then I told him at that time. So now I'm coming back again on that point. Then in that case, Justice shall pass a judgment, and that is a reported judgment in 1980, AR 1980, page 116, Marunam versus of India. 1980, AR 1980, Marunam versus India. It is page 116 somewhere. So that is Marunam versus India. It was a case where life, the 14 years minimum sentence, and life cases were decided that nobody can be released before 15 years. Minimum sentence one has to undergo. So now this on this which I argued this case, then the Supreme Court. It was a case before Justice. Now I have left in the middle. I'm coming back to that. That case which I argued in Supreme Court on hanging. Then I said that a man can be punished only when he is living, and he has to realize that there is a punishment. Courts can't realize it because the life is extinct already. And then the Supreme Court, gave a ruling. That ruling is 1995 3 SEC, page 248. 1995, Pandit PARMANAND KATARA versus City of India. It is in my name. PILK. 1995, 3 SEC, page 248. Then they have ruled that the dignity of a human being does not cease with his life. The wordings are the dignity of a human being does not cease with his life, but it extends to his death even after. It extends to his death even after the life is extended. The Supreme Court told that unless the funeral rituals are not over according to the different religions of the sects, isn't it? Then the man cannot be put like that, and he has to be released immediately. The doctor shall go and check. When the doctor finds that life is extinct, then immediately he will be released from the gallows and will be handed over to the family members. 2 मिनट बाद, 3 मिनट बाद, 5 मिनट बाद जैसे इसकी होता है वैसे ही उसको जाएगा और जब डॉक्टर उसको देख लेगा, चेक कर लेगा, when he finds the life is extinct, immediately उसका जवाब वो दे दिया जाएगा. So that is a judgment, and I think you are having PM Baksi's book. If I can rightly just from read page 53 and 54. My name is there. Instant medical aid. Section 53. Page 53 article 21. Page 53, 54. Instant medical aid. You will find me there.
Yes, sir.
Page 53, 50. And then professional books, you know.
Yes, sir.
Section 53 is still there.
Yes.
On hanging. So now I should come directly to a very important section of the IPC, which is known as 302. Now in 302 in one matter, Dilkesh Panchal, that is a reported judgment now. Supreme Court, page 185. I am giving to my learned friend so that it can be here with you. History of the country, rather than the history of the world, because Indian penal code is not limited to India. The same pattern in 77 countries is prevailing. So I argued, it never struck to anybody's mind till today, neither in judge or any advocate. So I said that if you make a bare reading of 302 IPC, then the 302 IPC starts, he who commits murder shall be punished with death or capital punishment, death, same thing, punished with death, capital punishment, or imprisonment for life, or fine, and both. But if you read it in between the lines, I am sorry to say not in between the lines, but in between the words. Now you should start reading in between the words, forget the lines, that is the old saying. If you read in between the words, you would find that word regress is not there. I raised this plea in Supreme Court in one case, this Dilkesh Panchal, that me lord, you have been counting this blunder from last 60 years. Judges were astonished. What do you say, Mr. Katara? I say, I repeat it. You have been counting this blunder legal blunder from last 60 years, which is blindly under compulsion being followed by High Court judges, under great compulsion by District Court judges, because they can't go against you. It is like that, my lord, young leading young is a blind leading blind, and both fall into the ditch. You are doing that way. He said, it's very harsh language you are using for us. Only little language has disturbed you. See about those people who are languishing in the jail from last 14 years because of your knowledge, lack of your knowledge. And you say life for life. How can you say life for life? Then he said, what is what you wanted to say? I wanted to say that kindly remain within your judicial limits. Judge has no power to legislate. You are not MP. You are not minister. You are not legislators. You are simply judges, maybe district judge, maybe High Court judge, maybe Supreme Court judge. But you are judges. Your duty is to interpret the law, not to legislate the law. Are you entering into that arena? Because word regress is not there, and you have been awarding rigorous punishment in 50% cases throughout country. Is this not the blunder committed by you? Then say that you have raised a very interesting point, and we feel at this stage disturbed, but we would admit this petition in a year at long. The petition was admitted at that time, which came in press, and I am giving one copy of the press also. This is here, and everything is there in it. So then I said, I raised a question. What question I raised? Whether court can award rigorous punishment in convict. Rigorous convict, you can note it, it's a very important thing, because for you I brought it. Whether court can award rigorous punishment to a convict under section 302 IPC without word rigorous being defined in 302 IPC. And gives judgment contrary to legislative mandatory law within bracket shall to specify the punishment to which the accused is liable under section 354 class C of the CRPC. Now let me come to the CRPC and come to inculcate you properly, because this is the only question. This is very important. I have got sufficient material. I can't finish even in 1 month. But I am summing up by and by. Now I am coming to 302 IPC. I think you must have read the definition of 302 IPC. I need not repeat it. 302 तो पढ़ा है आपने? उसको तो बहुत रिपीट करने की जरूरत नहीं। अच्छा, इन 302 IPC में the word rigorous is not there. If word rigorous is not there in 302 IPC, there are 59 sections in IPC which provide for imprisonment for life. I have checked IPC, I have not read it. There are 59 sections in total IPC which provide for imprisonment for life. Isn't it? Now I am coming to 354. When I was telling you something on Sanskrit or Hindi, you might be thinking that he is simply wasting his time and not coming to the law. Now I am coming to the law. So now you take down 354 of the CRPC. And if you don't have it, I am reading it. 354 CRPC. Language and content of the judgment. How a judge should pass judgment. Except as otherwise expressly provided by this court, every judgment referred to in section 353 shall be written in the language of the court. Judgment would be written in the language of the court. First, shall contain the points for determination, the decision thereon, and decision for the decision. Now comes C, the very pertinent point where I am striking. C is listen it very carefully. Shall specify the offence, if any, of which at the section of the IPC 45 of 1860 or other law under which the accused is convicted. And now it is important. And the punishment to which he is sentenced. The punishment to which he is sentenced. Shall specify the offence. First, it has to be specified. Then the section has to be specified. And the accused is convicted, and the punishment to which he is sentenced. So punishment under section 302 IPC is not the rigorous. It is not simple also. Because it does not contain either of the description. It contains only death or imprisonment for life. A person has to remain in life forever, supposing for 20 years, and IPC is I started my argument in Supreme Court because here, if I say like this, then you may not feel it proper. But I said at that forum where they should feel it proper. I told them that the IPC is a very poorly drafted document ever drafted by Lord Bengali. People feel proud of it. The IPC. Oh, very good, very intelligent document. I say it is the poorest possible document which was ever drafted by a poor wisdom person. Then I say, how? Then I would prove it. How? Then I said, all right, read section. From IPC I would confront. I am a lawyer. I know how, defense lawyer, how to confront and how to save myself. I said, all right, take out section 121 of the 121 of the IPC. Now I get down. And I would tell you instead of you right now how it is poorly drafted. Now 124, isn't it? 124. A. Sedition. Whoever by words, either spoken or written, or by sign or by visual representatives to otherwise brings or attempts to bring into hatred, contempt, attempts to excite disrespect towards the government established by law, shall be punished with imprisonment for life, to which the fine shall be added, or the imprisonment which may extend to 3 years, to which the fine may be asked. Here, imprisonment for life has been equated to 3 years. See, imprisonment for life. The very section says, or for 3 years. Is it a document of a balanced person? Again I come, waging war against the country. Then section 125, imprisonment for life, or either prescription for a term which may extend to 7 years. Again the imprisonment for life has been equated to 7 years. That too also not rigorous. It is either description. Judges can give simple all right. So here in one section, IPC, that poor friend has drafted it in a very poorly manner, without applying the mind, that life imprisonment means imprisonment for life. And Godse's case, in that Privy Council case, Kishore Vilal's case, they are life for life. Here life for 3 years only, 7 years. Then again it comes here in the preceding sections, what is that section? Then I say again, 7 years, 127, 7 years, 128, it comes either description of term which may extend to 10 years again. And 128 section IPC, the same fellow says, no, it is for 10 years also. It may be either description 7 years, sometimes 3 years, sometimes 7 years, sometimes 10 years, sometimes 20 years, sometimes for life. Is this the worship of a good mind? Nobody can say it. So then judges said, no, we have not read in between the IPC, Mr. KATARA, you don't have another work except reading IPC. Then I said, I have devoted my time. I have come out from a poor background, I said that I have travelled, my parents were thumb-marked. I have travelled 18 kilometers per day on foot, barefoot, without shoes, for conducting my studies. I am the 8th child in my family, in a very poorest place in UP. I born and I educated myself. So I had no time except reading books. And therefore I am now in a position to inculcate you. So then if you read again this 302 IPC, I am coming back to that. Then rigorous has been awarded. Rigorous is not there, but they are. Then in CRPC, a judge has to specify a sentence and punishment. If that punishment is not there in the 302 IPC, where the judge would specify, where from you would specify that with my argument. If you want to give punishment, then you have to find it out where from. How can you from your own pocket add it? Who are you? Are you registered to read it yourself, whatever you want to give in that? Because you are not undergoing yourself. Others are undergoing. Therefore, you are not feeling it. So that question which I raised now in Dilpesh Bachir Panchal, this case, the judgment came from the judges, Justice Bedi and Justice E.K. Prasad. And when I argued it, then unfortunately, we have old judges also, and sometimes we have old judges also. So the judges told, because entire IPC, entire judgments, since that period to this period have to be changed. What would be about those persons who have undergone that sentence, rigorous punishment? What would be of those who are still undergoing? They would come for compensation. Again there will be a chaos in the country. The government of India, all consolidated fund would over. And there was a bankruptcy of the mind. I said, this is a bankruptcy of the mind from the side of the legislators as well as from the side of our judiciary. Because you you knowingly you are not considering it. No, we will consider our point. Then I argued it, they have dismissed it, saying only one word. Saying what? That he has raised a academic question of law, and we shall not like to comment on it. That is the crux of this argument. He has raised a academic question of law, and we will not like to comment on it. Then they have diluted that entire issue. And some other would come, other would do. Why we should enter? We have to become chairman, human rights commission का chairman होना है, हमें कुछ ये करना, हमें वो करना, हम गवर्नमेंट के खिलाफ कहे यहाँ चलो छुट्टी करो. ये पागल आया है, इसने क्वेश्चन अपना उठाया है, इसको यहाँ सेटिस्फाई करके आ गया. You are a good lawyer. You raised very good point. We would deal it. और वो judgment सामने रखती है. So this is, I was telling you now how the deterrent theory functions. The deterrent theory functions because if I know that I will not be convicted of any crime of even for a single penny or even for a single day, I will not go behind the bar, then our mentality is such that we would go on committing the crime. For the deterrent's sake, this theory has been implemented. But for retributive sake, we would realize it that I have committed the crime. This is very bad for me, and the children of that party would suffer, and I have already suffered in the jail for 14 years, and let me come out. So that is one part of it. Now the reformative, that a man has committed this, isn't it? But unfortunately in our country, retributive and reformative both are not functioning, and they are not taken care of. And what is happening? My suggestion would be, in next case I would argue, my suggestion would be that in 302 IPC still two punishments remain untouched. That is to say, last two ones, forfeiture of the property and fine. What I am suggesting, that if somebody commits murder or some heinous crime like that, then his entire property, 50% property, be forfeited and given it to the victim's family forthwith. Secondly, whatever he earns in the jail for 10 years, 14 years, whatever period, that entire work salary or wages paid in the jail should be given to the victim's family. Then nobody would commit the murder like this. He would know, all right, my 50% property would go. Then again for the entire 14 years, I have to work for that family, not for my own family. So Indian mentality, I am Indian, I know what is my mentality and what is others' mentality here. So only this can deter the crime. Not that hanging by, and most of the countries around the world have discarded hanging. England has also abolished it in 2003. And most of the civilized nations around the world have, abolished it. And the experiences which they have described, that by way of abolishing this, the crime has rather decreased, not increased. But they are writing. That is one problem. When you note any foreigner, he is taking banana, would he throw it on the road?
No.
He would keep it.